last week we won, and I came into this same press conference, and I didn't feel like it was a win. And today is very different. I thought our group really answered the challenge, offense, defense, and special teams. And it was really awesome to see our group play clean football. We had one penalty for 5 yards, as opposed to 13 for 104 a week ago. And so I think what you saw out of this group is a group that's continuing to mature, a group that's continuing to get better, and they have great pride in doing that, right? They don't believe that you stay the same, you get better or worse, and they want to get better. So really excited about the way the guys played, and I know that we're going to really take this one, enjoy it, and get back to work, because we still have a lot more work to do, and I think this group knows that and wants to continue to be the best that they can possibly be.
Yeah, our career high 144 yards. What about that 68-yard run at the start of the game? What did you see there?
It was an inside zone play, so I was just keeping it tight, and the backer blitzed, and somebody came off, and it just opened wide up. So I tried to hit it as fast as I can, and unfortunately I got hawked down, so I got to work on my speed.
Art, can you talk about the offensive line, their performance today? How spectacular was that?
They played their asses off. I wouldn't have been able to do anything without them, so I'm very, very grateful for them.
Arron, can you take us through that last play and just kind of what it meant to you to have that full drive and to come away with the pick?
It felt amazing. I was the man in the arena for a while. Drive was going, plays was going. I was getting out of breath. Every play, everything was going on. Lights was getting big. It was a cover 3. They ran it before, like 2 plays before, and I was like, if he throws it again, I'm getting the ball. And he did it, and I got the ball.
Arron, on a couple of plays before you got that interception, you had a near miss where you almost hauled that one in, and you were clearly very frustrated with yourself there. What do you have to say about the fact that you were able, stay disciplined and, come back on the same drive and come in with your first career interception?
Of course I was mad because that was going to be, in my head a pick 6. And I looked over at Coach. He was like, you good. And so I just shook it off after he said that. And, I got confirmation from the boss, so I kept it going and I got the ball again.
Arron, that's a team that has come out and, played teams similar of your caliber and scored 30 points. You guys hold them to 6 points, and if they didn't hit 2 50-plus yard field goals, it's essentially a shutout. How good does it feel to literally play all 11 and all the other guys that rotated in that well for a whole game?
It feels good, but, it started all in practice. We had a good start at practice at Lift. We had guys putting in work. We had guys focused on our No Sweat Thursdays. We had guys focused on our Fast Fridays. So, it was all supposed to happen for a reason.
And Art, another game where you guys show what this offense can do running the football, long drives, a 94-yard drive that takes, more than 7 minutes off the clock. Everyone loves explosive plays. You guys have some explosive plays, in the bag as well. But when you just impose your will like that, 4 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, and just march down the field, how rewarding is that as an offense?
Oh, it feels great. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't be able to do it without the guys up front. So I'm grateful for them. And then I feel like our offense is very versatile, and we can run, we can pass, we could do it all. So.
And one for Art. What can you do to build off of this to keep rolling, especially as you get this non-conference role and finish it out? You would get big sky play, and then it's the competition only getting harder. How do you keep it up?
Just taking it one day at a time, one practice at a time. Coach Ford's really big on that. So. Not looking ahead in the schedule, just taking it one opponent at a time, one day at a time, and yeah.
And for Arron, looking at the defensive side of the ball again, with what you're able to accomplish today, same kind of thing, and how you sort of can focus on that in the future. That's out of 3 games so far, the defense has looked really, really strong in 2 of them, and how do you keep that up for going game 4?
It starts tomorrow. Sunday we got practice. We got to bring that same attention to detail that we're going to bring on Monday, we're going to bring on Tuesday, and we're going to bring throughout the week, and then wherever we play. Not looking forward to it. Not looking, advanced to it, but we live in the moment and practice in the moment.
One more thing from me, just seeing the energy of the team at the end of that play and everyone getting together, everyone getting hyped up. I saw that from the first snap of the game to the last snap, and it was just so high the whole time. Was it feeding off the crowd? Was it just the team and how it works? How is that feeling, especially today?
I think it starts with the coaches, and then it trickles down through strength coaches, trickles down to the players, and then the fans. We trying to involve everybody we can in the game, and then when big plays happen, celebrate, have fun. That's what the game's about.
Yeah, Aaron, after you got that pick, did the guy you took the pass from have anything to say, or did you have anything to say to him?
I'm not gonna lie, it was so loud in the dome. I did not hear or couldn't focus, so I couldn't really tell you.
Art, this is a great game on the ground for the whole team, really, and especially you and Joshua having a quarterback that is able to kind of flirt with 100 yards on the ground every game. How does that open things up for you guys in the running back room?
Oh, it makes a huge difference. Just teams knowing how versatile Josh is and them having to honor the quarterback run just opens it up for me.
Yeah, Aaron. So first week at WSU, you let out 13. Last week, you let 30, and a lot more rushing yards last week. And then this week, 111 passing yards with just under, I think, close to 100 rushing yards. How did the defense bounce back? What really brought you into this week, going with the defense?
I would say attention to detail in practice. I don't want to keep honing on in practice, but that's where it starts. You gotta have focus, an elite focus at that, and it's just gonna show on Saturdays.
What about the focus of your teammates during the game? How was that?
Times can get big. They can score, they can do whatever they do, but it's all about, being together and going back to what we know that we do in practice, and we'll be all right at the end of the day.
Yeah, Art, getting back to Josh, when you're carrying out fakes, is that enjoyable to do, knowing that you're probably springing your quarterback?
Yeah, it's honestly he pulls it and it's like a relief because I know he's gonna go make a play, so makes my job a lot easier.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Coach, Owen Forsman made a 49-yard field goal, had his first collegiate field goal here tonight. He was a guy who was, a big recruit coming in last year, redshirted, and, coming in here tonight. Is he the guy moving forward for you guys?
We compete always, and he was the guy that was the better player today, both on kickoff and on PAT and field goal. And so moving forward, Owen Forsman will be our starter. But they'll continue to compete, right? Owen just a week ago was our starting kickoff guy, did not perform well. Owen Adams came in, took his spot. Owen Adams came in today, didn't perform well. Owen went and got it back. So those guys are going to continue to compete, but I think it tells you the type of depth we have in our specialists. And what was really neat to see is just his leg strength. That is one thing. When I recruited him as the special teams coordinator, the kid has an unbelievable leg, and I think you got to see that thing really rip on that 49-yarder. Thing probably was good from 60.
So last week in the post-game press conference, you talked about how this team needs to mature, and you said they need to do it quickly. Tonight, you mentioned only one penalty, and wasn't a lot of chippiness. What would you say about the way that your team responded in terms of their maturity here tonight?
They responded in a major way. I think Aaron said it best when he just talked about doing what we do, going to work, going one practice at a time. I know it's cliche and kind of coach speak, but it's true. In football, you can't worry about tomorrow because it ain't promised. And so I think our guys really kind of dove in this week to doing everything correctly. The little things absolutely matter. And you could see that attention to detail, right? Our guys were much more concerned with what was happening, between the snaps, right? And instead of before or after, right? There's nothing you can control before or after. And so they were really living in a moment and playing whistle to whistle, which was awesome to see.
Did you have to address anybody in the locker room at halftime after that strange field goal play at the end?
No, I mean, it's kind of like I told the defense. We know that we gave up a big play on kind of a quarterback draw that probably should have been a tackle for loss, and that was the only reason they had points. And I think that was my message to the guys is you've played exceptionally well. We had one bad play. There's no reason to think about that bad play because it has no impact at all on what they were going to do coming out of the second half.
And it did look like the momentum changed a bit in the third quarter, and then it swung back to you guys. Could you kind of account for that? What happened?
No, I just think they're a Division I college football team. They're going to make plays too, right? And so they made a couple plays, but at the end of the day, we held them out of the end zone. And I think you can, get first downs all you want, but if you ain't putting the ball in the end zone, well, you're going to get 3 at most. And I think our team, especially our defense, we're good with that. If we can hold teams to field goals, we feel pretty good because I know our offense is going to go out there and score.
Coach, you touched on it a little bit last week, but what can you say about Ryan Jezioro and having him come in and, I mean, he gets the touchdown and then 4th and 2, Joshua finds him over the middle. I mean, what can you say about that kid? And maybe why have they become so close and, he has become such a big safety net for Joshua as well?
Well, RJ possesses some qualities at receiver that we want every year. He's big, he's fast, and he can catch. And so I think what you're seeing from him is him feeling more comfortable in our offense. Right, he's a young player. And as he continues to gain confidence, I think so does Joshua, right? He believes that all those receivers will make plays for him. But some of those crucial moments where RJ's the kind of the one-on-one matchup, we feel really good about him because, again, he's big, he's strong, he can really catch it.
And then with Arron, obviously he had that weird fair catch at the end of the WSU game. But what can you say about him and how he's bounced back, and you and Coach Dennison, having the confidence in him on that last drive to be out there and to make a play like that at the end to seal it?
No, I again, it all starts in practice. Arron is a young player, and sometimes young corners can get too involved with the one-on-one matchups. And I think that's what happened with him early in the Wazoo game. But he went back to work, right? He wasn't – I don't know if he played any snaps at corner in the St. Thomas game, but he went back to work, and he knew what he needed to work on. It wasn't telling everybody how good you are, telling people what you're going to do. It's going out and working. And he really kind of just, lack of a better term, kind of shut his mouth, put his head down, went to work, and you see the result of that work. And AK's a guy that we know is incredibly talented. He's one of the most athletic guys in our program, and we have full confidence in him, but he's got to have confidence in himself. And I think through the work, he built that confidence the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, Coach, one stat that stood out to me was the time of possession. In the second quarter, at one point, it was 15:58, which is 50 seconds. And then at the end of the game, it was 34-46 to 25-14. Why were those long, methodical drives working, and why did you guys have the advantage in time of possession?
Well, I think it's a credit to our offensive line. Those guys have the attitude that they want us to put it on them, and they're going to move the chains. And I think whenever you're able to, pick up 6, you pick up 3, and then you move it on, whether it's 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1, that's backbreaking for the defense. And now they're very tired, and we feel like once we get teams on their heels and they start sucking wind, that's when we start really putting our foot on the gas. And you definitely got to see that, especially in the third quarter coming out of halftime.
Coach, 286 total rushing yards. You mentioned it a little bit there, but what was working so well for the offensive line? Or why were they just plowing through?
I think that group is very dialed on their assignments, and even when the picture changes, they've worked through all these looks with Coach Ensley all week. They're really detail-oriented, so even if the defense makes a play, they'll get back on the sideline and adjust and be ready to go that next series. It's an incredibly cerebral group. It's a group that works very hard, and they have a lot of care and trust in each other, and I think you're seeing that, especially in the run game.
On the flip side of the passing game, you said before on Monday we wanted Joshua Wood to get like 300 yards or so, maybe above. He only had 119 yards passing today. What wasn't working offensively passing-wise?
Well, when you run the ball for 286, you don't need to throw the ball, right? So I don't think it was that passing game wasn't working. I just thought our run game was so good, and he's a huge part of it, right? He is an absolute threat when he has the football in his hands. And so, we called some pass plays too that turned into scrambles, but I don't think it was about our passing game not working. I thought it was more about our running game really good working.
Finally, you mentioned it in your thing before, 1 penalty for 5 yards. What clicked for this team going from 13 to 1?
Again, details, right? Having this understanding that everything matters. A week ago, we had 5 guys late to our pregame meal. And if you think that had no effect on us, you're crazy, right? And, you saw our guys get back to what makes us great, right? Our 3-team rules, right? Being early, protecting the team, and no BCD. I won't say what BCD means, but you can ask me off camera if you'd like. But our guys bought into that, and they saw that we can control these penalties, especially the self-inflicted penalties. And they really took that to heart, and we're not going to allow us to get penalties pre or post snap. I know we had 1 pre-snap penalty, but we'll deal with that tomorrow.
You always hear from football coaches, what makes a good team is everybody doing their job, no matter how big or how little that is. Hayden Kincheloe comes into this game in a short yardage situation. I think he gets hit 2 yards in the back. Just won't be denied.
No.
He picks up the first. Just tell me a little bit about what you guys have seen in him to go to him in those short yardage situations. I know it's not going to be in his hands every time, but what do you see from him?
Well, I think, number one, I really trust him because he understands his role. He's a 230-plus pound back. probably not going to play every down when we got guys like Art Williams, Eli Cummings and Nate Thomas. But what he will do is understand his role. And if you need a yard, I don't trust anybody in the country more than I trust Hayden Kincheloe to get me that yard. And so even when he got hit at the line of scrimmage, I had no doubt in my mind he's going to fall forward and get a yard, right? Because that is his role, and he's really owned that role for us this season.
These last two games before today featured lead changes and big swings in not only scoring but momentum. This is a game that, although it took you to the second quarter, once you got in front, you never gave up the lead. How valuable is it to have a game where your guys learn offense and defense how to play from in front?
That's huge, right? Because if you don't, all of a sudden teams sneak up on you because you can't hold a lead. So I thought today's matchup was a really good opportunity for our kids to keep fighting. I mean, we missed 2 field goals, right? We should have 6 more points on the board. But for those guys to not allow that to influence them in any way and to just keep playing, because, again, the last play didn't matter, right? The next play matters. And I think the kids believe that, but they got a chance to see that today. And, again, playing from the lead and being able to hold on to leads is going to be crucial if we want to go where we want to go this season.
Looking at the end of the game, and I know the vibes, the emotions were high, of course, after winning, but just seeing you and your players, especially with Joshua right there, singing along the fight song with the student section, seeing players up in with the band and everything. I mean, what were the emotions like of that, feeling almost a little different day? You talked about how it felt more like a real win this week more so than last week. What were the emotions of those games?
Well, I just think our guys got a chance to see this is what happens when you really focus. This is what happens when you pay attention to the details and you go and execute. And I think those are the emotions that you saw. Our group really felt like, hey guys, that was a lot cleaner. This is Vandal football. And that's kind of what I told them at the end. Like, that football game is Vandal football, right? We're going to be physical, we're going to play really hard, and we're going to play smart.
And then sort of what I was asking the players too, when you expand that out to the next week, and the next week you get the end of non-con and then Big Sky, not to look too ahead, but how do you keep this up and keep it rolling through just harder and harder opponents?
Yeah, the season doesn't get any easier for us, especially when we get into Big Sky play. So I think a week like this is critical because they saw the fruits of their labor, right? They saw what happens when you really focus. And that's our mentality. We cannot worry about tomorrow. We can't worry about yesterday. We can only live in the moment. And that's really the message that we're going to continue talking to our guys about. But I honestly think that they understand it. I think there's not a more high football intelligent group out there, in my opinion. Great example of it is, we're running the ball. We're trying to it's 4-minute offense essentially. We ran a play and there's like 2:26 left, and there wasn't a single offensive player in that huddle that thought we would run another play. They knew exactly what we're going to do, run it down to the 2-minute timeout, and go play football from there. So I think you're seeing a group that's maturing. You're seeing a group that's really taking initiative and holding each other accountable, and that's going to be the difference when we get into Big Sky play. What you got, Liam? No, you gotta get the mic, man.
Okay, Coach. I was watching Arron Kinsey come off the sideline, and I'm just curious. I saw him with the sack of potatoes. Is that the new thing for the defense?
That's
when
right.
Turnover.
It's our turnover taters, baby.
Like
Right? You get the turnover, you get the taters, man. So we're to lean pretty heavily into that the rest of this season. I think our guys really enjoy it, and it was pretty fun to see AK get that pick and get a chance to have the turnover sack.
Coach, any key injuries that we should know of?
Not that I know of right now. I know Eli Cummings left the game with an apparent knee injury. I don't know his status. It doesn't sound like something that would keep him off for a long time, but until we get the injury report, I don't really know. He was the only one that I know left the game and did not return. Ryan, I know he left the game, but he was available, so I don't believe he'll be out. I think it's probably a shoulder deal, and my guess is he'll be back ready to work on Tuesday. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. V's up.